Now what we got? We got trinkets procced, we got that going, we got 80 runic power. Wait till runes come around. Once runes come around, that's when we start using our abilities. We'll start off with the Death Strikes for sure. Once we can't Death Strike, we'll use Plague Leech and Death Strike. Then we're going to use Empowered Rune Weapon and Death Strike all the way through. And that's it, dead. Hey, how's it going, guys? This is your boy Hazzed, and today I'm going to be showing you the blood guide with the one-shot macro. We're going to make this a nice, interesting video and get blood out of the way here. And you guys just been hassling me. Blood, 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 blood. So we're going to do some blood, 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 blood. Alright, guys. So, talents. Plague Leech. You always want Plague Leech. Why? Because we're switching up a few things, like we're using Death Siphon instead of Death Pact, because Death Siphon is just beautiful, and that gives you 2 amazing runes for that. Also, it's used to enhance our one-shot macro that we're going to need. Alright, so, love the next one. Lichborn. You still want that Leech. It's amazing for getting out of fears. Don't poke around in the other ones. Don't look at Purgatory, because if that procs, you already lost the match. Alright, so 58 talent. You can use either Chillblains or Asphyxiate. Now, I have found it to be... We'll postpone that. Well, I have found it to be probably better to use Asphyxiate over Chillblains for throwing the one-shot macro, because you just catch them in a place that it's amazing. Now, the next thing is Blood Tap. Why are we using Blood Tap instead of the other two for Blood? Because Blood can generate runic power off of single things amazingly, like Icy Chains and Blood Boil. Now, their main damage, of course, is Death Strike. Now, it also heals us and applies a shield, so it's amazing. But Blood Tap is the most versatile for Blood. Like, it's the best for Blood. Also, you can use it at key times to enhance, of course, your burst again, which is amazing. Alright, so 75. Going with Death Siphon. Conversion, it takes 30 RP. That's 6%. No, we don't want that. Death Pact, it's still good. You can use Death Pact if you want. If you're not as good at healing yourself, you could go with Death Pact. But the better DKs that can actually manage it, definitely go Death Siphon. It is going to be better. Alright, so the number 90 talent. Gorfine's Grasp, fun for BGs. I mean, come on. Alright, Remorseless Winter, stunning. That could be great for globaling people in Arena if you need to catch them in a stun. That'd be awesome. Desecrated Ground, the same thing. Getting out of CCs and whatnot. It's absolutely amazing because you can stand in it afterwards. Like, Rogue saps you, you just throw that down, and then they blind you, but you're already standing in it. So you're like, lol, I'm not CC'd, dude. And then, of course, the level 100 talent. Now, I was going to go with Necrotic Plague. Necrotic Plague is fun for BGs since it still generates runic power for blood DKs. Now, it's absolutely amazing. Don't get me wrong. Defile's good for tanking. That's PvE stuff. Don't use it in PvP unless you're, like, flag carrying. That might be okay for flag carrying. Probably. Alright, so Breath of Sindragosa. Now, this is amazing. This is where the one-shot comes from. That blood DKs can use Breath of Sindragosa, and it's evil, and it's great. Alright, so, with that said, let's jump into this macro, guys. Oh, actually, first of all, I can't leave you guys hanging without glyphs. Let's check out some glyphs. What are we using? Alright, I'm doing the Runic Gain one from slows, because everyone slows in blood DK. Now, this is important for blood DKs. It's the 10 runic power gain from Icy Chain. So we need that to generate a lot of runic power. Because if you need to build your burst, that's going to be what's going to do it. Because Death Strikes take 2 runes, it basically gives you 20 runic power. Now, Icy Chains, you can use 2 runes of Frost and gain 40 runic power. So under that, you can build a burst a heck of a lot faster. And of course, the OP Dispel, getting rid of Dispels. Now, if you're doing BGs or something, you don't want to Dispel, switch it out for Blood Boil or something. And that's basically, yeah, that's about it for blood glyphs. Yeah, let's jump over to the burst macro now. Alright guys, so this is the burst macro. I'm not going to go through and post things on the screen like I did last time. I'm just going to post it in the comments below. Basically, you can highlight it and Control-C and then Control-V it into your macros, so you don't even have to type it up, so there won't be any problems, because I know there was a lot of problems with the last macro in transferring it, and I had to fix it, and people would post me their macros, and I'd fix them up for them and send it back to them, because basically it was the transition. They'd do something, one guy misspelled obliterate, that was pretty good. But yeah, so this is what we're doing. Show tooltip, Breath of Sindragosa, use Primal Gladiator's Badge of Victory, PvP trinket, use potion, that's where the potion comes from. It's fun in BGs. And then the cast sequence is basically the same as the one we did before, but instead of obliterates, it's Death Strikes. So this macro isn't too far from the other one, which makes it really fun. So let's show you. This is how we set up for this macro. we're going to chains up until we have more than enough runic power. Now we can use a couple other things. It's a little harder to generate runic power with this spec compared to Frost. Now if you use a full set of runes, you know, 4 chains, 2 blood boils, and then 2 plague strikes, you will have 100 runic power. So I'm just going to keep meleeing to keep my runic power up real quick. And now you see I have a full set of runes. This is where we're going to burst. Now I'm going to roll over to this where my number 1 is burst, and yeah, basically check this out. So we're going to use the macro. We have 2 death strikes, burst macro, 2 blood boils right here, applying diseases, using plague leech to get off more death strikes, and using E-empowered rune weapon to death strike. Yeah, big damage. And then the 2 blood boils for that. Now that was a ton of damage. That was a one-shot, over one-shot. And then we start getting procs. Start getting more procs. We can use more blood boils, more death strikes. Like, yeah, guys, it's insane. Alright, guys, so let's talk about the normal rotation and then healing rotation afterwards. So your basic DPS rotation for blood at the moment, of course, is death striking. Healing yourself and dealing damage, and then using, of course, death coils. The other thing you want to do is, when outbreak comes back up, is apply your diseases and use blood boil once to spread them. Now if there's more than 3 targets, go ahead and blood boil. Otherwise you're death striking and you're using death coils, getting more runes and death striking, because that's your big damage ability. Now here's an interesting part with blood. You can do a pretty good damage at range since we're using death siphon, the chains glyph, and we can cast death coils. Now check this out. I'm just going to build up runic power fast. I'm hitting out death coils, right? Pounding those out. I get a blood tap, and I throw that in for a siphon. That was 2 siphons right there on that proc, 3 siphons. And then once I build up enough, and I have both diseases on the target, I can plague leech. I don't have both diseases on the target, do I? No, I do not. Yeah, I'll just put it on there. Act like we just used outbreak. Anyways, plague leech. Plague leech. No fully depleted runes, that's the problem. We weren't in range. Alright, so let's put those back on. And we got depleted runes now. So you can plague leech, and you can double death siphon from it. Oh, did you see that triple proc death siphon? That was insane. And then you just build it back up. We got tons of runic power. Throwing out more, just more death coils. And then we can plague leech some more. And then we get death siphon. It's insane, guys. Blood decays are going to be fun. Alright, so let's talk about healing. Now how do we heal? It's the same thing as DPSing. Death strikes are healing. And then for defensive, you're taking some damage, you can go ahead and throw up a runic tap, or you can pop your bone shield, or you can use Icebound Fortitude. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff we can do, guys. And of course, the other healing thing is blood tap goes into death siphons. Like, that's amazing. Now what should you use? Death siphon or death strike? Well, there'd be key times where you have to use both of them in your rotation. You can't just use one all the time, otherwise your runes will be really flip-floppy. And I focus on using Death Siphon most of the time, unless I'm in a hard melee combat, like I got a warrior sitting on me, and the Absorb Shield would be great. But yeah, that's how you do it, guys. You can also think about this, you can kite and use Death Siphon to heal up at range, which is really cool. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this little update on the video, and yeah, enjoy. Try out that macro. This one.